Title: Shadows Over Thames. Episode 1 of 5, The Last Note. Follow and subscribe 5-episode thriller for more episodes. Rain slashed down on the glass rooftop of the Canary Club, one of London's most exclusive underground venues. The vibrant chatter inside clashed with the storm raging outside. Charlotte, the 18-year-old starlet, stood backstage in a silver sequin dress, humming the final lines of her new song. Her voice, angelic and delicate, floated through the air, her last note echoing longer than it should have. Detective Jay stood in the far corner, watching the room with piercing eyes. At 32, his youthful charm belied a mind sharpened by years of experience. He wasn't here for the show. Someone had sent an anonymous tip. Something terrible was about to happen tonight. Charlotte exited the stage to a standing ovation, the room buzzing with admiration. She made her way to her dressing room with her usual entourage, but something about her seemed off. A few whispered words with Oliver, the club's 35-year-old watchman and loyal doorman, and she disappeared behind the velvet curtain. Meanwhile, Arthur, an influential 40-year-old businessman known for his shady connections, sat at a VIP table with his 20-year-old girlfriend Florence draped on his arm. Florence's eyes followed Charlotte with something between envy and disdain. She sipped her champagne and leaned into Arthur's ear. "She's getting too much attention." Arthur chuckled. "Jealousy doesn't suit you, darling." Jay took a slow lap around the venue, noting exits, cameras, faces. His gut twisted. Something was wrong. Then came the scream. Within seconds, the crowd parted like the Red Sea. Oliver was the first to reach the hallway behind the stage. Charlotte's dressing room door was ajar. Jay pushed past the gathering crowd and stepped inside. Charlotte lay sprawled across the floor, a single shard of glass protruding from her neck. Her wide eyes stared into nothing. Blood had soaked into the white fur rug beneath her. The window behind her was smashed. Rain gushed in, mingling with the red. Jay knelt beside her, checking for a pulse. Nothing. The dressing room smelled of perfume and iron. The mirror across from her had a message scrawled in lipstick. One note too many. Oliver stood in the doorway, face pale. "No one came this way, sir. I swear." Jay stood slowly. "Lock the exits. No one leaves." Arthur stepped into the room, Florence behind him. His face was unreadable. "Was it an accident?" he asked. Jay turned sharply. "Murder." A collective gasp echoed from the hallway. Jay scanned their faces. Arthur's cold indifference, Florence's tight grip on his arm, Oliver's twitching hands. "Everyone here tonight is a suspect," Jay declared. "And no one leaves until I find out who killed Charlotte." An hour later, Jay set up a makeshift investigation room in the club manager's office. Charlotte's body had been taken away. Forensics had begun their sweep. Jay requested surveillance footage, staff interviews, and a guest list. He interviewed Oliver first. Loyal to a fault, Oliver had worked the door for 5 years. He insisted no one entered or exited the back hall from the time Charlotte left the stage to when she was found. "No strange deliveries, unexpected guests?" Jay asked. Oliver shook his head. "Nothing, sir. Except, well, Charlotte did get a package earlier. Small box. Didn't see who dropped it off." Jay raised an eyebrow. "What was inside?" "Didn't open it, but I remember Florence asking about it." Jay noted that. Florence sat elegantly when called in. Her face was tear-streaked, but her tone cold. "I barely knew her. We just ran in the same circles." "You asked about a package she received?" "Curiosity. She's always flaunting things." "Were you jealous of her?" "Not enough to kill her, detective." Jay leaned in. "Sometimes jealousy doesn't need a reason." Arthur's turn was next. Stoic, composed. "She was just a singer," he said. "A very famous one with a lot of enemies." Arthur smiled. "Aren't we all?" Jay's instincts screamed that Arthur knew more. He always kept his hands clean, let others do the dirty work. Jay needed proof. Late that night, Jay reviewed the footage. At 9:27 p.m., Charlotte entered her dressing room. At 9:29, the lights flickered, just for a second. At 9:30, a figure in a hooded raincoat passed by the hallway camera, unidentifiable. Jay froze the frame. The figure carried a violin case. Jay whispered to himself, "One note too many." He turned to the file on Charlotte's background. Classically trained. A child prodigy. Rumors swirled about a falling out with a mysterious former mentor. Jay now had a dead girl, a cryptic message, a smashed window no one saw being broken, and a club full of secrets. He lit a cigarette and looked out at the rain-soaked streets of London. The game had begun. Follow and subscribe 5-episode thriller for more episodes. Title: Shadows Over Thames. Episode 2 of 5, The Shattered Alibi. Follow and subscribe 5-episode thriller for more episodes. Detective Jay stood in the now empty dressing room, the scent of perfume and blood lingering like a ghost. The club was sealed, the guests questioned, and yet the answer remained elusive. Jay replayed the security footage on his tablet, again pausing at the hooded figure. The violin case gnawed at him. It was too specific to be random. Jay had the club's list of performers, and Charlotte had been the only one scheduled that night. So who brought a violin? He turned to the club manager. Anyone else bring instruments tonight? The manager shook his head. Only the house pianist. No string players. Run background checks on everyone on this list, Jay ordered. Later, Jay summoned Florence again. She arrived alone this time, dressed in a long overcoat, her makeup untouched from earlier. Do you play any instruments, Florence? Jay asked casually. She gave a short laugh. Me? No, I have a terrible ear. Ever take lessons? She hesitated. Maybe when I was a kid, but I quit. Jay studied her. She was deflecting. Where were you at 9:30 p.m. last night? With Arthur. We were at the bar. Plenty of witnesses. Jay nodded. I'll be checking those. When Florence left, Jay called in Oliver again. Who had access to the surveillance room? Just me and the club tech. His name's Milo. Get him in here. Milo arrived looking tired and jittery. A lanky man with round glasses, he wiped his palms on his jeans. Did you notice anything strange on the system last night? Flickers? Cutouts? Yeah. We had a 15-second power blip around 9:28. Cameras on the back hallway glitched. I thought it was just the storm. Show me the footage before and after the glitch. The footage confirmed it. At 9:28:12, the camera feed cut. It resumed at 9:28:27. When it did, Charlotte's dressing room door was already ajar. Someone timed this perfectly, Jay murmured. By midday, forensics had returned with their report. The lipstick used on the mirror wasn't Charlotte's brand. It was a luxury label called Fleur Noir, only sold in select boutiques. Jay's next move was to visit Charlotte's flat. He needed to know more about her private life. Inside her apartment in Notting Hill, everything was immaculately arranged, except for one thing. Her music sheet binder had pages ripped out. One of the few remaining sheets had scribbled notes. A.B., threatening again, warned to keep quiet. Jay's brow furrowed. A.B.? Arthur Blackwood, the businessman. Back at the club, Jay confronted Arthur. Charlotte wrote your initials next to a warning, said you were threatening her. Arthur didn't flinch. We had a disagreement. She was going to perform a song that named a few powerful people. I advised against it. That's not a threat. It's business. You're good at threats that sound polite. And you're good at paranoia, detective. Jay didn't have enough yet to pin him, but something was tightening. Then came a breakthrough. A call from a boutique in Mayfair. Someone had bought a tube of Fleur Noir lipstick 3 days prior using a platinum card. The name on the receipt, Florence Duval. Jay brought Florence back in. I don't like being lied to. She stiffened. I didn't kill her. You bought the same lipstick used at the crime scene. I lost it, that night. Maybe someone took it from me. You said you didn't know Charlotte well, but she had your name circled in her diary with a question mark. Florence's mask cracked. Fine. We had a fight. She was flirting with Arthur. She knew it got to me. I told her to back off. Did you threaten her? No, but maybe I wanted to. Jay noted every word. He had motive. He had means. But something still didn't fit. Oliver knocked at the office door, holding a small parcel. This was found hidden in a backstage cabinet, just now. Jay opened it carefully. Inside was a digital recorder. He pressed play. Charlotte's voice came through, shaken. If anything happens to me, look at Arthur. He says I know too much, that I can't sing what I wrote. I'm scared. Jay closed his eyes. So you were silenced? He turned to Florence. Her face was white. Was this about a song? Florence nodded slowly. She wrote lyrics about a deal Arthur made last year. Illegal real estate, laundering money through an arts fund. He begged her to change the words. She refused. And that's what cost her life. Jay now had motive for Arthur. But the lipstick, the violin case, the timing, it all pointed to someone with access and finesse. It wasn't just business. This was an execution. As the storm rolled again over the Thames, Jay knew the killer was still near. Follow and subscribe 5-episode thriller for more episodes. Title: Shadows Over Thames. Episode 3 of 5, Secrets in the Fog. Follow and subscribe 5-episode thriller for more episodes. The streets of London were cloaked in a thick morning fog as Detective Jay walked along the River Thames, the cold air sharpening his thoughts. The digital recorder had confirmed his suspicions. Charlotte had been silenced. But by whom and how was still a puzzle. The list of suspects hadn't shrunk. If anything, it had grown darker and more twisted. Jay returned to the club, now eerily quiet after the previous night's chaos. He found Oliver in the lounge, staring at a television showing news coverage of Charlotte's death. Her smiling face haunted the screen. "You okay?" Jay asked. Oliver jumped. "Trying to be, sir. I still can't believe it. She was kind to everyone here. Even gave me a Christmas bonus out of her own pocket." Jay studied him. "Kindness doesn't save you from secrets. You think I'm hiding something? I think everyone here is hiding something." Oliver looked away. "She got a letter a week ago. No sender. She read it and tore it up, but I picked up the pieces. Said something about unfinished scores. That mean anything to you?" Jay's eyes narrowed. "It does now." Later, Jay met with a music professor from the Royal Academy, where Charlotte once studied. Professor Eliza Moreau had mentored her until a falling out. She was gifted, Eliza said, but stubborn, wouldn't stop pushing boundaries. Did she have enemies there? Not enemies, rivals, especially one, Sebastian Vale, a violinist, brilliant but temperamental. They had a public argument after she accused him of plagiarizing her compositions. Jay scribbled in his notebook. Where is he now? Touring Europe. At least that's what he posted online. Jay asked for a photo. When he saw it, his heart skipped. Sebastian Vale had the same build as the hooded figure in the hallway footage, and he always traveled with a violin case. Get me everything you can on him. Back at headquarters, Jay ran a deeper search. Sebastian had returned to London 3 days before the murder. No tour. No performances. Just silence. Jay issued a bolo and returned to the crime scene. He walked the route from the stage to Charlotte's dressing room, then from there to the broken window. He stood in front of it, imagining the storm, the chaos. Then he looked down. The window led to a narrow service alley, hidden from view. Jay climbed out and examined the alley. At the far end, a rusty door led to a maintenance corridor. No cameras. The perfect escape route. Back inside, he called Florence. Did Charlotte ever mention someone named Sebastian Vale? Florence stiffened. Yes. She hated him, said he tried to ruin her career. Did you know he was in London? No. I didn't think he'd dare show his face. He might have. In disguise. Florence's expression darkened. I saw someone in a raincoat leave through the service alley when I went out for air during Arthur's call. I thought it was a janitor. What time? Around 9:33. Jay connected the dots. That was the exact moment the chaos began. A call came in. Sebastian Vale had been spotted near King's Cross, entering an old rehearsal studio. Jay rushed there with a team. Inside, the air was thick with dust and old wood polish. They found Sebastian in a dimly lit room, bowing slowly on a violin. He looked up, startled. Detective Jay, I'm not surprised. You were at the Canary Club the night Charlotte was murdered. Yes, I wanted to talk to her. She never responded to my messages. You brought a violin. Why? To remind her. We started together. I wasn't going to hurt her. Then why sneak through the alley? Because she'd never let me in the front. She thought I was dangerous. Jay stared at him. You left through that alley after she died. Sebastian's eyes widened. No. She was alive when I left. I knocked on her door. We argued. She threw something at me. I stormed off. That was it. What time? Around 9:25. That matched the timeline, just before the power flicker. Jay had him taken in for questioning, but the gut feeling told him Sebastian wasn't the killer. His presence complicated things, yes, but the murder required someone who knew the club layout intimately. Then came another twist. Jay received a call from the forensics lab. A partial fingerprint had been lifted from the inside of the violin case found near the club's trash bins. It wasn't Charlotte's. It wasn't Sebastian's. It was Oliver's. Jay returned to the club and found Oliver in the storage room, sweating. Why was your fingerprint on a violin case tossed behind the club? Oliver went pale. I didn't kill her. I swear. I found the case after the chaos. I opened it to see what was inside, then panicked and threw it out. Why didn't you report it? Because there was blood on the lining and a broken string. I didn't want to get blamed. Jay's mind raced. If Oliver found the case after the murder, then the killer planted it or dropped it during their escape. Back at the station, Jay reviewed Charlotte's lyrics, the song that started it all. The final verse had been smudged out, but he deciphered enough. A tower built on fraud and lies, a rose of gold with poison ties, a hidden hand behind the grace, a lover lost, a silken face. Jay stared at the line. A lover lost, a silken face. Was it about Arthur? Or someone else? He had one more person to speak with. Florence, only this time she wasn't answering calls. Jay went to her flat. The door was unlocked. Inside, everything was in chaos. Drawers pulled open, clothes scattered, and on the desk, a half-burned piece of paper. You were never meant to see this. If he finds out, we're both dead. Jay stood frozen. Who was Florence protecting? And who was coming after her? The fog outside thickened. Another shadow was moving across the Thames, and the killer was ready to strike again. Follow and subscribe 5-episode thriller for more episodes. Title: Shadows Over Thames. Episode 4 of 5, The Mask Behind the Music. Follow and subscribe 5-episode thriller for more episodes. Detective Jay stood at the threshold of Florence's ransacked flat. His instincts screamed danger, but years of experience kept his pulse steady. The half-burned note on the desk troubled him deeply. Its warning suggested a conspiracy far more layered than he'd imagined. He carefully bagged the note and scanned the flat again. No signs of forced entry. Whoever came in had a key, or Florence let them in. A sharp knock sounded behind him. One of the forensic techs had followed him. "We found this in the fireplace," the tech said, holding up a charred envelope. Inside was a scorched photo. Charlotte, Florence, and Arthur, laughing, glasses of champagne in hand. But it was what was written on the back that chilled Jay. Only one of us deserves the spotlight. The rest are distractions. Jay rushed back to headquarters, piecing together the puzzle. The letter, the photo, the note, each hinted at tension, jealousy, and secrets buried beneath public smiles. He called Arthur. "Detective, any progress?" "Enough. Where's Florence?" Arthur hesitated. "I haven't seen her since yesterday. She said she needed time alone," Jay pressed. "Did she ever mention someone threatening her or Charlotte?" A pause. Then there was someone, an anonymous patron who used to fund Charlotte's early gigs. Florence hated him, said he was obsessive. What was his name? We never knew. He went by Mr. C. Sent handwritten notes and gifts. Jay's eyes narrowed. Another shadow in the fog. Back at the club, Jay had surveillance reanalyzed. One frame, barely visible, showed a man slipping through the back alley at 9:34 p.m. Not Sebastian. Not Oliver. This man was older, in a tailored coat. Jay enhanced the image. It was Arthur. He immediately summoned Arthur to the station. "Why didn't you tell me you were at the club just after the murder?" Arthur, caught off guard, said, "I went looking for Florence. She sounded panicked on the phone. I came in the back way to avoid the crowd." "And found her where?" "Near the dressing rooms." We argued. She was upset about something Charlotte told her. Said she was leaving both of us behind. "Both of you? She was involved with both of you?" Arthur clenched his jaw. "We had a complicated arrangement." Jay's thoughts raced. If Charlotte had planned to expose something, it would have ruined Arthur's public image, his business dealings, and maybe Florence's future too. He leaned in. What did Charlotte know that scared Florence enough to run? Arthur's eyes flared. "I don't know. Maybe it was about Mr. C. Florence always feared him showing up again." Jay's phone buzzed. A tech had found a match for a handwriting sample from one of Mr. C's old letters. It matched Arthur's. Perfectly. Jay locked eyes with him. "You were Mr. C." Arthur paled. "It was harmless. Just admiration. You sent her gifts, followed her gigs, hired her, slept with her, and when she threatened to go public, you silenced her." Arthur slammed his hands on the table. "I didn't kill her. I tried to talk her out of it. She was going to ruin me." Jay leaned back, heart pounding. "Where is Florence now?" Arthur broke. "She's hiding. Somewhere she thought was safe. Our old vacation home in Surrey." Jay alerted the local constables and sped there with backup. The cottage was nestled in quiet woods. Inside, Florence was curled on the couch, eyes puffy, face pale. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. She whispered, "He promised me everything." Then she came back. Jay moved closer. "You loved him. I did, until I found out he was obsessed with her, even after all we had. You confronted her." Florence nodded, tears falling. "She told me everything, that she was going to leave the industry, go public with the truth, destroy both our lives. I begged her not to." Jay's voice softened. "What happened next? I left, I swear, but someone else was already there. She screamed, then everything went dark." Jay frowned. "Who else?" "I don't know, but it wasn't Arthur. I saw him arrive as I left." Jay stepped outside, staring into the woods. The pieces were close, too close. Arthur may have manipulated, Florence may have panicked, but someone else struck the fatal blow. The final scene was still missing, until his phone buzzed again. It was a forensic update on the blood found in the violin case. It wasn't Charlotte's, it was Oliver's. Jay drove back to London like a storm was chasing him. He found Oliver locking up the club. "You were hurt the night Charlotte died. We found your blood in that case." Oliver froze. "I can explain." "Start." "I heard the argument. Charlotte and Florence. I went to check on her after. She was crying. She said she'd made a mistake, that everything had gotten too far." "Then what?" "She asked me to hide something, a memory stick. She said if anything happened to her, give it to the press." Jay leaned in. "Do you still have it?" Oliver nodded slowly. "Behind the bar, hidden in a loose panel." Jay retrieved it and played the file. Charlotte's voice, raw and tearful, filled the room. "This is Charlotte Rivers. If you're hearing this, I'm likely gone. Arthur Colgrave manipulated me for years. Florence knew. She helped. But I found something worse. He's laundering money through the club. I have evidence. And if I disappear, you'll know why." Jay sat in silence. He finally knew why Charlotte had to die. But one question remained. Who had silenced her? Follow and subscribe 5-episode thriller for more episodes. Title: Shadows Over Thames. Episode 5 of 5, Curtain Call. Follow and subscribe 5-episode thriller for more episodes. Jay stood in the dim light of the club's storage room, the USB drive Charlotte had left burning holes in his thoughts. Everything was out now: Arthur's obsession, Florence's jealousy, the blackmail, and the money laundering. But one truth still lurked in the shadows. Who had killed Charlotte? He replayed Charlotte's final recording again. Her voice was clear, urgent, but something in the background caught his attention this time. A soft, metallic clang, followed by heavy breathing. Jay paused the audio and enhanced the noise. It was a key being dropped, the kind the club's watchman, Oliver, always carried. Jay turned back to Oliver, now in custody at the precinct. "You weren't telling me everything." Oliver's shoulders slumped. "I didn't kill her, Detective. I tried to protect her." "Then explain the blood in the violin case." Oliver nodded. "After she gave me the USB, I left through the back. I was locking up when I saw someone go in. Not Florence. Not Arthur. It was Charlotte. She came back, said she forgot something." "So you followed?" "Yes, but someone else was there already." "Who?" "Sebastian, the club's manager." Jay blinked. That name hadn't come up in days. "Sure about." Sebastian was in charge of logistics, bookings, and handled the club's finances. "He was angry," Oliver continued. "He told her she was making a mistake, that if she went public, she'd bring the whole place down. She said she didn't care." Jay frowned. "Why didn't you tell me this before?" "Because I panicked. I saw him grab her. I tried to stop it, and he hit me with something. I blacked out. When I woke up, she was dead. He was gone." Jay's pulse quickened. Sebastian had fled town after Charlotte's death, claiming stress. It was suspicious. But he'd had no solid tie, until now. He dispatched officers to Sebastian's listed residence and began digging into his financials. The findings were damning. Large, undocumented transfers had gone through shell companies managed by Sebastian, accounts that matched the trail Charlotte uncovered. Jay had what he needed. They found Sebastian 2 towns away, hiding in a rented cottage near Brighton. Jay led the arrest. In the interrogation room, Sebastian looked tired, unshaven. "I didn't mean to kill her," he muttered. "She wasn't supposed to come back." Jay remained cold. "You argued. You hit Oliver. Then what?" "She kept saying she had evidence. I didn't think she'd really go through with it. When she tried to run, I grabbed her. She fell. Hit her head. It was an accident." Jay's expression was stone. And you just left her? Burned the evidence? Sebastian looked away. I didn't know what else to do. The case unraveled fast after that. Arthur was charged with obstruction and money laundering. Florence, though devastated, cooperated fully and avoided prison time. Oliver, cleared of all charges, quietly disappeared from the spotlight. And Charlotte? She became a symbol. Jay stood outside her memorial concert, the sounds of her unreleased ballads drifting into the night air. London was quiet for once. Peaceful. He'd solved it. But the weight didn't lift. Because the truth was, Charlotte was never just a victim of murder. She was a victim of power, silence, and the cost of truth in a world that rewards shadows. Jay turned his collar against the cold wind and walked into the dark. Follow and subscribe 5-episode thriller for more episodes.